The first month I hit $30,000 in revenue, I was extremely stressed. Not like excited stressed, right? It was more like disoriented because I'd been building toward that number for many years. And when I finally got there, I remember sitting and thinking, is this it? And I want to talk about that because I think there's something really important in that moment and something I genuinely wish someone would have told me before I spent years chasing a number. And it has almost nothing to do with the number itself. So I'm going to share the exact belief I was carrying going into that milestone, right? That made hitting it feel almost hollow. And honestly, by the end of this video, I think it's going to completely reframe how you think about whatever number you're chasing right now, whether it's 5, 10, 30,000 or more. But first, I need to back up a little bit. When I was first building Creative Cabana, I was operating with this belief, and I don't think I even fully knew I had it, that once I hit a certain revenue number, something would just click. Like there was a version of me on the other side of that number who just felt differently about the business, who woke up without that low grade anxiety in his chest, who didn't second guess the pricing on every single proposal. I don't know about you, but I still do it. And who had like arrived, right? And I think this is more common than people talk about because the 30K month or the 10K month or whatever your version of that number is, it gets tied up with a lot of other things. It becomes this proxy for I'm good at this, or I'm safe now, or I can finally stop worrying. And you don't even realize you've done that. It just kind of happens. It's just subtle. So I want to walk you through what actually happened when I hit that milestone because some things did change. I want to be really honest about that, but some things stayed exactly the same, and the things that stayed the same are probably going to surprise you. The month it happened, it was not some perfectly orchestrated thing. It wasn't like I ran a campaign or launched a new offer and watched the numbers climb. It was actually just a convergence of a few bigger projects landing at the exact same time. And I remember checking my numbers mid month and realizing I was going to cross it. Like I was finally going to do it and feeling this very strange cocktail of emotions. There was excitement, like genuinely, right? We're all excited at certain stages, but there was also this almost immediate pressure that kicked in, which was okay, now I have to do this again. This is just the first time out of many. And to be honest, that was the first feeling that I hadn't expected. I expected relief. I got a new kind of pressure though instead. And the celebration was like dinner with my wife, which was great. And then the next morning I woke up and I had the same stack of emails, the same client conversations to follow up on, and the same questioning in my head over and over again about whether I was charging enough or what was actually worth it. So nothing had been resolved. It had just been reset, but like at a higher level and at a different stakes. And here's what I've come to understand about that. And this is actually the thing I really want you to sit with. Hitting a revenue milestone doesn't fix your relationship with money. It just gives you more clarity on what you actually believe about money. And that's uncomfortable. It's going to feel a little bit weird to sit with that because what I found was all the stuff I had been thinking I would outgrow, it was all still there. The fear of a slow month, the fear or the feeling of being overpriced or underpriced or raising my rates, the comparison to other people in my industry who seemed to be doing more, none of it went away. And honestly, my expenses went way up because of how our business model works at Creative Cabana. Taking on bigger and more projects meant more overhead, more resources, and more help I had to bring in. So more money coming into the business didn't automatically mean more money for me personally. What the milestone did was remove one layer of noise. And underneath that noise were the actual beliefs I'd been carrying about what enough looked like, about whether I was the kind of person who could sustain this, and about whether my success was luck or skill. And I hear this from a lot of business owners that I work with and through consulting. They'll say something like, I just need to get to X and then I'll feel like I can breathe. That's always been my goal, is to get to this number. But I always ask them, what specifically is going to feel different? And most of the time they can't quite articulate it, or they think they have all these answers, right? And then I just say, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that changes. Because the feeling you're chasing, it's not attached to the number. It's honestly attached to a belief, and beliefs don't update automatically when your revenue does. I do want to give you the flip side here though, because things did change, and I don't want to pretend they didn't. The practical stuff shifted in real ways. I had more breathing room to say no to projects that weren't a good fit. I could invest back into the business without it feeling like I was gambling all the time. And I stopped taking on every single inquiry just because it was income. And those things were meaningful. That was a big leap and a big change. And there was a confidence, a quiet one that came from having proof. Like I had done it once, which meant I could have a different conversation with myself about whether I could do it again. And that's real. Like I don't want to discount or undersell it, but I want you to notice that none of those things are about feeling safe. They're practical, they're operational. The emotional stuff, though, the relationship with the work, the anxiety about whether you're good enough, and the comparison, the pressure you put on yourself, that doesn't get resolved by revenue. That's a different thing entirely. I think it's time, though, that I share the belief that made hitting the milestone feel hollow. And here it is. I had spent many years treating the milestone as the destination. And what I've come to understand is the milestone is a byproduct. It's the exhaust from the actual work. It's what comes out the other end when you're genuinely focused on building something of value, serving people well, pricing your work correctly, and just showing up consistently. And when you treat it as a destination, a couple of things happen, right? One, you spend a lot of energy monitoring whether you're on track to hit it instead of just doing the work. And two, when you do hit it, there's nowhere for the feeling to land because you hadn't built anything internal to receive it. The number arrived and you were still you. Like nothing else changed. And the belief I wish I had held going in was something like, the goal is to become the kind of business owner who earns 30K months, not just to hit one, because those are actually really different things. One is an event, right? That one time 30K hit. The other is a transformation. It's a different way of thinking. I am a 30K a month business owner. And honestly, this might be a little uncomfortable. I feel like a lot of this is, but if you hit your milestone and it feels hollow, it's actually useful. You got to like dig deep and think about it. It's not a sign that you did something wrong. It's a sign that the number was carrying something that it couldn't hold. I know this is a lot to think about. So if I were starting over with that goal in mind, here's where I'd actually put my attention. First, I'd get really clear on what I thought the number was going to fix, like really honest about it. Write it down if you have to, because once you name it, you can start to do the actual work of addressing it instead of outsourcing it to a revenue milestone that was never designed to solve the problem. Second, I'd pay attention to the month to month systems before the milestone, because how you manage the business at 8K a month is basically how you're going to manage it at 30K. The habits don't magically upgrade, right? When the number does, the systems stay the same unless you make changes. And third, this one is probably the thing I come back to the most. I'd try to find a way to enjoy what's already in front of you, not in a just be grateful all the time kind of way, because I think that's super useful advice, but maybe not here. More like the version of your business you're running right now is going to be meaningful to you in hindsight. What's that going to be? And would it be a shame to sprint through it without noticing it? So, fourth is this, it goes along with that. This might be the most overlooked one in most business owners' lives, but focus on your life, focus on your lifestyle. Like, what do you actually want this work to provide for? Because the business shouldn't be the end goal. How you're living your life outside of it, that time you have, the experiences you're creating, the relationships that you invest in, that's the real thing. When you look back on life, that is going to be the part that you care about most, not what you built. And that's what you're actually building towards, right? If you don't get clear on that, revenue milestones will keep feeling like they're supposed to deliver something that they're not designed to give you. The revenue milestones, they are real and they do matter, but they're a byproduct. They're not a destination. And the work of becoming someone who can sustain that kind of growth, that's internal. It doesn't show up on your Stripe dashboard or your bank account, right? Like that is something you have to sift through. So if you're building toward a number right now, I hope this helps you carry it a little more lightly. And when you get there, I hope the celebration is the dinner and not just the disorientation. Like I hope you get to soak it up. And so do that. Build systems, create memories, and enjoy the journey, my friend, because that's what this is. It is a journey that's worth living. And don't forget to live your life.